We're back with part 2 of this week's Punting Melbourne Style. Happy Super Bowl day, everyone. Now, there's been some more movement in the industry pots. We've seen the proposed merger of Tab and Tats go through. That's going to be really interesting what happens, the knock-on effect of what that will be. I know it'll affect the big teams who are very well organised. Will they be able to capture the WA tab and get... I think if one company owned all of them, then you might be able to get through the regulatory loopholes of potentially getting a national tab. Because then what can happen is you can still have your state-by-state staff, and that's how it would be divided, tax-wise and whatnot for the state governments. But it would then allow you to run on an overall framework. But it'd be very interesting because it cuts out probably...
Well, what it'd be, because it's beyond my scope to bother thinking about it all, what the ramifications would be. But if there was one tote pool, it would be a game changer. Now, whether it would be good or bad or both or whatever, I'm not really sure. But it would change the game for sure. And I think it would be, personally, from my personal betting point of view and my subscribers' point of view, I'd hate to see the merging of the tab fixed odds and the Tats fixed odds operations.
Well, that's happening.
I would love to see them stay separate, but anyway.
Yeah, I know that's happening. And there's a lot of...
Well, that's not good news.
No, it isn't. Because essentially 2 of the top 3 or 4 biggest betting fixed odds operators and the only 2 cash operators outside of on-course bookies are now becoming one. That'll make a huge difference. Crown are divesting themselves of Crown Bet. That's a real shame for blokes like me with the Crown Rewards card.
So what's going to happen to Crown Bet? Are they going to sell it?
Trippy's, I believe Trippy's going to buy it off him.
So it's not going anywhere, he's just...
No, it's just that you won't get the spoil like I've been getting for the last 12 months.
In the rewards?
Yeah, with that sort of stuff. And their behaviour, I think, has changed a little bit. Like, they're not as aggressive on some horses as what they were a little while ago. They're still there, but it's not as pronounced, I don't think, as what it was.
They took the Trout of Tregear in the last of Caulfield on Saturday.
Yes.
They obviously, I think they were part of the Manalo Blonic, fancy, their information, late information source. We can say it here, Dr. Nick. So yes, the late money for Manalo Blonic was enormous, and Tregear was the victim.
So, and they're also looking at, they're one of the suitors potentially looking at acquiring William Hill, who have hoisted the white flag, and if you could find a more mismanaged saga than what's happened there, Potts, with that whole operation coming in, spending too much money buying in, getting rid of well-known Australian brands and replacing it with the William Hill name, which
in our opinion.
Well, in my opinion.
We don't want to get sued, Johnny.
No. Well, that's just what I believe anyway. I just reckon they've made some mistakes from the get-go. But why they haven't got rid of Centrebet and Sportingbet, I'll never know. Because they were very well-known brands here. And they brought Centrebet back. And Centrebet, to their credit...
Well, I think what we're seeing, Juppy, and so I agree with you totally, but I think what we're seeing is the slow disintegration of this profiling individuals only model. Okay, it's part, fine, it's part, you've got to know who your customers are, right? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that and it shouldn't be part of the mix. However, you've also got to have, there's got to be some integrity in your markets. You know what I mean? And they've all just let that go. And they sort of put up anything, I think, with enough margin in it and just let the punters sort it out to an extent. And they're almost cannibalising each other and it's slowly disintegrating. And those that are more willing to take a position and understand the dynamics of the market, like a Top Sport, are moving in a different direction.
I think Top Sport are going to carve themselves out a real niche here. They're looking, and they've always been sort of half that Pinnacle model. Like, they're very good. I know that on the minor stuff that I can bet with them, I think they normally bet me a monkey. If I'm happy to tip my hand for a monkey, I will. I know that I've got to try and beat them to the tab price because I'll bet it back. But they're very fair. Whereas a lot of joints would just go, no, you can have nothing or you can have $50 or whatever, and we'll cop the tip and not worry about them. The joint boys will try and beat me to it. I think they're going to carve themselves out a bit of a niche with some of the products that they're offering. And I can see in 3 or 4 years' time, there's going to be 3 or 4 massive operators. The Tab, Sportsbet, maybe CrownBet, and then one other. And a smattering of little guys that are just sort of there or thereabouts, so that it'll get harder for.
Mm.
So...
Well, you just touched on one of the dynamics of the market that's hasn't completely disappeared, but it all but has. Not that long ago, there was an enormous amount of back betting and circular flow of money.
Yeah.
And what you just called them joint boys, right?
Yeah.
So they'd get the tip off someone they knew was a switched on punter, and they'd all rush out of the sports bet office down to the nearest tab and hook into the price. Right? Or, have their accounts open and do the same. The one thing that the corporates absolutely hate is taking bets from the joint board, the other joints. And they hate it. I don't really understand it, but they really have gone to extraordinary lengths to stop it.
You know why? If I'm a joint boy and I'm sitting there and a bet comes through from someone at a rival shop and I can't get on at that rival shop, I'm going, well, why the hell would I bet in when you won't bet me?
Yeah. Well,
that's the crux of that. And it used to happen.
So they've done it to themselves then, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not at that level, but the senior management, the ones that have come in from Europe, have tried to stop it. Well, we don't want to take bets from the IAS team.
Yeah.
So then it stops that flow. Yeah. It stops the flow, and then it all becomes very frustrating for all involved.
Mark Reed had it right. What they should have done is say, right, if you're CrownBet, you go to Sportsbet and say, right, you've got an account. We'll bet you the odds to win 5,000. I don't want to take a bet from anyone that works in the joint. You have one corporate account.
Yeah.
And you will get something. You can bet on every race every day. You can bet on every sporting event every day. And if it's a big event or whatever, and you want to have a bigger bet back, here's the number to call. Ring whoever's out of trading that day, and let's talk about it. Don't just... But they came in and said, right, no one's allowed to bet. We're getting rid of these accounts. It's too hard to administer. Blah, blah, blah. We're getting rid of them.
Well, they put in place all those risk managers, Juppy.
Yeah.
And that's the first risk they want to eliminate. So, anyway.
Yeah,
and the problem is it doesn't really stop because these people are not silos. They've got friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what... So the proliferation of bowler accounts and everything else is... It's created by these European managers that have come in and tried to stop it all. They're the ones that created all the bowler accounts.
Well, the other thing is, Potts, is now... I was talking to a bloke last night about this. We've got to try and now put a dollar value on what a set of bowler accounts is worth. So if you're going out there to put the time and effort in to groom a bowler, well, what do I need to make out of it to make it worth my while?
Mm.
So I think the figure we arrived at was about 20 grand. But it's what you've got to do to make it worthwhile. Because getting bowler accounts is a giant pain in the backside.
Yeah, well, I've given up completely. I've got my own now because I just do my best because you have a fresh account. It doesn't take them long to catch up to you. They just know the patterns of the betting and they're onto it like that. It takes a couple of weeks.
Well, see, I'm lucky that being a scatterbrain, it makes it much harder for them to track me because you're betting on all sorts of stuff. But you're also lucky, Potts, that you've been able to do a lot more with Betfair, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because in the illiquid markets, it's very difficult. I put up offers there yesterday on the footy and didn't get matched. Granted, I was probably being a little bit greedy.
Yeah.
But it's tougher. Whereas at least and I have been paying a lot more attention to it lately too, just on the back of what yourself and boogers and whatnot have said. They're moving that way because the other thing is you're not tipping your hand to anyone.
No, not tipping your hand to anyone. It's good.
And I think it makes, psychologically, it's a good move.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to be doing is going, okay, well, I've had this bet. They haven't bet me what I wanted, but now the price has gone off everywhere, so I know they've backed it. I've gone, well, why am I feeding these blokes for? And but top credit to Tristan and Lloyd at Top Sport. They're doing a huge job. I think it's best of the best to win 5,000 or something on Saturday. That's a ripping product. Some of the value's been eroded a little bit with now the SP coming off the corporates. But back in the day, best of the best when it was still taking off from on course.
Yeah, I think that if you're getting the best of the top fluck or the totes, which is what it is, that's going to be a pretty low percentage.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still the lowest percentage product, unless you can nail the market.
If you're looking to, like I do, I back a lot of runners in each race, right? And there's a couple that you're looking to round off on and just, chop out on. That's a very viable option.
Well, a simple strategy that I've used for your stuff pots is, and this is for any potential subscribers, if they're sort of going to be reasonably in the market, if you don't have time to sit there and watch it, and probably the vast majority of the guys that are your subscribers are like that, aren't they, Pots?
For the full sets.
Yeah, they're sitting there and they're watching. Unless you know that they're going to be a big price, you're better off. I bet at best of the best, and then the ones that I know are going to be real big, I either put up an offer on Betfair or I use Betfair SP. Because the big price runners, you're going to get a real spoil if one of them does lob. Like it might be $36 across the toe, 36, 38, 40, SP $41, and all of a sudden it might pay $65 Betfair SP because.
So out of the market, you can, there are other avenues, but in the market, like so on Saturday, for instance, it would have been very hard to beat best of the best with Parish Rock.
Yep.
And it would have been very hard to beat it with Bedford.
Yeah.
I would have thought. So.
Yeah, well, those.
You might have got a fraction better catching it at the top on Betfair. But
it was a very funny market there. I worked it was Woodend Cup Day, so I went down to Kyneton and I watched those first couple of races from Caulfield with interest. And if you looked up at the VOP screen and it was 270 at the 380 and the other one drifted too, and you go, is this come from because they've turned these right off before the VOP went up, or had they been back through the morning? Like it was odd to see them drift like that.
Well, I think what's happening, Juppy, and it's happening a lot.
Yeah.
Is that when the price assessors get it reasonably right early.
Yeah.
Okay. There's just too much percentage in the early market right up until the last 10 minutes of betting.
Yeah.
Okay. So something's got to shake out in the last 10 minutes. Something has to. There's 20% plus in there that has to go somewhere, and sometimes one runner just gets squeezed out, and then it almost doesn't have a price, but and then the price can get inflated like it did with Parish Rock. It's probably if you're repricing that race, given that Twitchy Frank didn't turn up, but you would have it nothing like the SP.
No, it's very different there, isn't it? Like it's taken me a long while to adjust, because you look up at the screen and that used to be your information source. But now it's much harder. You've got to get the dynamic screen and look at the...
Yeah, just to talk about how hard it is. Here I am, I'm trading throughout the day. I averaged 330 on Parish Rock. So, people like Juppy that took best of the best did a lot better than me. And they can work that way. You can go either way.
But I think probably more often than not, Pots, you're probably going to get rewarded for the time and effort you're putting into it by sitting there and actually watching it closely and trying to pick.
So over the course of the week, you can on Wednesday I averaged $8 so splendid, right?
Yeah.
Someone that got mine on Wednesday and just did what you did probably got $6.50.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So that balances out over the week, and probably what I do, I get a slightly better result. But I put a lot of time to get that result. It's time consuming.
The thing is, you'd have to look at it. Almost then gets down to your hourly rate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you look at it, and you're going, okay, yeah, well, it's worth X amount to me, and I'm not going to say it's easy for you to do. It's slightly easier for you to do because you're full time at it, and you're sitting there doing it anyway. So it's it just shows how razor thin the margins are in the game at the minute, because there's just not a whole heap of spoil.
It's a constant battle. So and people might ask why, if that's the case, why do you do it? Well, there's a simple reason. And so I often get asked, does my betting plan exactly reflect my own betting? Well, pretty much. So if I use a golf analogy, Juppy, all the birdies and eagles I have are on that betting plan.
Yeah.
But some of the pars aren't.
Yeah.
Right? So the difference between the club golfer and the professional golfer is the professional golfer, when he gets in trouble, he finds a way to make par. All he's thinking is, how do I get out, make a par here, or make a bogey rather than a triple or whatever? Well, I'm the same, when I've got a race right, I just run with it.
Yeah.
But when it occurs to me that I've made a blue or or the market's moved in a different direction, or there's additional information there, or whatever, I will slightly adjust my position as I go through to try and get out of that race with a par or a bogey, rather than making a complete mess of it. And that's what I do regularly.
Well, I think we might have to have a part 3, Potts.
Part 3, why not?